Hello, I'm Herm Gailey, and we're here to talk about what I refer to as don't give up the gallop. I see a lot of folks who are showing, say, in the ranch riding, or who are just riding horses cross country, who are very threatened by loping, or even more so, asking their horse to step up into a gallop. I understand how that can seem threatening, but I would argue that if you get comfortable with it, you defuse that threat. And if you avoid it, the horse may offer it to you sometime when you least expect it. When I help very green riders, I move them into a lope pretty early, so that if the horse would lunge forward into a lope when they didn't expect it, they wouldn't be dealing with a horse problem and a completely new experience all at the same time. Same way with horses. If you, by this time, maybe you've watched a couple videos with this colt Slim, you'll notice that when was real green, I just sort of let him go along and gallop a little bit. Horses were born with a walk, a trot, a canter, and a gallop. Why give up one of those gaits? So even my green horses, I'll ride them around and let them cover some ground, let them gallop and find their balance. Let them gallop and find that that doesn't need to be an exciting thing. Because if you eliminate that gallop and then come back later, they are likely to say, this isn't part of the deal we made, and this is getting me stirred up. So I'm here with a mare that has an enormous motor. She's a Ferrari. She just wants to go fast and she wants to accelerate. That's her nature. But she's learning to moderate that. You could make the argument, well, you should ride her really quiet, maybe trot her and jog her and back her up and just relax her for a few years before you try something advanced like cantering or galloping. And I see this with a lot of folks who are trying to get their horse more advanced. They lose track of the difference between going slowly and going nowhere. Here, my goal is not to overload her boat, but also to build a boat that's going to float, to build a boat that you can speed up to whatever speed you need to. So this mare, when you galloped her at first, she would be more than happy to gallop, but then you would spend the rest of the ride, or maybe the couple of rides, getting her to simmer down. So arguably what I should have done was never gallop her ever until she was ready to gallop. Except then I would never have done that transition up into the gallop, and when I did, she would have found herself overwhelmed, and I would have been right back at square one, even though I might have been trying to quiet her down for 6 months or a year or whatever. So what I've done is I go ahead and gallop her. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's ugly. On balance, it's getting better every time. And her on-off switch is easier to access. You can notch her up, go somewhere, and then bring her back and go slow. So I'm going to ride her around a little bit, gallop her, then show what I do to bring her back and access that off switch again. So I'm just going to step out here, put her on a left lead lope, and I'm only going to do this the one direction just because the other direction is going to look a lot the same and use up a lot of time. So we're going around. This mare is how she is. I mean, she'd like to go faster. And pretty shortly, I'm going to give her that opportunity. But she's pretty relaxed. What I don't want to do is give her a lobotomy to where this is all she knows how to do. And then one day, her brain turns back on and says, you can gallop. And she throws that at you, and everybody gets excited, and people fall off and go to the hospital and all of that. So I'm going to come by the top of this circle here, and I'm going to notch her up to a gallop. and then I'm going to bring her back down. I'm not going to restrain her. I'm just going to do the same thing I do when I ask my horse to relax. That is, I'm going to bend her down, and I'm going to access that calm down cue. Oh, and she's thinking that was really cool. And if I loped her off right now, she'd probably, definitely have too much forward. If you look, her excitement level is a bit up, but it's not over the top. And she was galloping pretty fast. One of the disadvantages to video, and I had an interesting discussion with Barb Waltenberry, who was one of the pioneers of really good horse competition videos. I said, Barb, I had a plus half circle. And on the video, it looks like I'm kind of pony loping around. I thought I had a lot more degree of difficulty, a lot more speed. She said, don't feel bad. You lose about 30% of your speed perception on video compared to in person. So hopefully, I obviously haven't seen the video, but this mare looked like she's going fast. I think I can represent to you that she was going faster than she looked. She was staying between my reins. She got a little stiffer than she does at a lope. But the first few times I did this with her, she wanted to outrun herself. This time, and in recent times, she steps up, she goes pretty fast, and she stays with me. Gets a little bit like this, maybe falls in. You find the air bubbles in your circle. You find the little stress cracks in your circle when you go up to that degree of speed. Now you could do this going straight, but I find that bent position that goes with the circle is similar to what I do when I'm asking my horse to relax. And so the circle is a good place to transition into that more exciting maneuver. So what I'm going to do is just make sure that she's back in a more relaxed frame of mind. I may put her up in the bridle, hold her, stop her, let her step back. Now, I feel like she's still a little bit up. So when I step her up into a lope, and if I was really doing this honestly, I might try her out at a trot. But I kind of want to see how she is. And if she's over the top, then I know I've got to go back and be a little more careful in bringing her back down. But let's go ahead, put her up in the bridle. See, she wants to fall into that departure. I'm going to move her over. Sort of a leg yield to the right, because I'm going to take a left lead. Move her over so that she's not falling in. Because that was the fault she had in her circle, was falling in a bit. And then I'm going to ask her to lope. And I'm having to be a little more active. She's not quite sure if we're going to go have some more fun or not. But you know, that is kind of that pony lope I was talking about for real. And I'll take that. And I appreciate it. I owe her thanks for that. Whoa. So, the goal here is, if you had to gallop your horse, you could gallop him. If you want to gallop your horse, you should be able to. If you want to be able, or want to notch your horse up a couple of degrees, why not? So, there's some food for thought. Now, don't go out and run your horse off a cliff. But if you do, you know, you might learn something on the way down, but probably not the best process. Use a little sense. Maybe you say, well, instead of galloping, if I'm not loping, why don't we try loping? Or why don't we try an extended trot? Something that notches up the excitement of what they're doing without getting their mind more excited. And what you wind up with a horse is a horse that is much more businesslike, much more confident, safer, and more pleasant to ride. So that's a little different than a lot of people do. I know a lot of people go along and they say, oh man, you run your horse around like that, you're going to blow the radiator cap off and never be able to screw it back on. Well, you know, if they overheat, I dump some more water in, tighten that cap down, and go back to work. So there's some food for thought. Try it if you have the courage. Try it if you have the curiosity. And good luck with it.